Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art, and we do watercolor projects every single week. It's fun. Wait, did you ever check my math after last week? Was it right?
To the video.
Was the math right?
100% wrong.
Oh, I thought it was right. Anyways, it's just an hour every week that we paint together, and it's a lot of fun. And whether you are brand new to watercolor or you kind of been playing with it for some months or years, or maybe you're advanced, this is for you. We break it down into steps. It's super fun. We really just hang out. This is a very relaxed tutorial. Don't know if you guys know this. We keep it chill over here.
That's so true. So glad you said that.
Is your mic on?
It is.
Good, okay. This is what we're painting today. The rainbow unicorn. Ah. I'm really excited to do this. Keenan, were you around during the Lisa Frank phenomena? But you were homeschooled.
I was pretty homeschooled.
Never mind. When I was in elementary school, there was like this really popular brand called Lisa Frank. And so like all the folders and pencil cases were like rainbow unicorns and kitties and like very girly rainbow stuff. And I loved it. It was like the cool thing to have Lisa Frank.
The brand of the time?
Yeah, it was the brand of the time in my youth. Okay. Let's focus here. We are doing 5 steps with this tutorial, and it's kind of like a mountain because we're gonna you'll see. Step 1 is we are gonna start with shadows. Step 2, we're gonna start with the hair. Step 3, we're gonna do the horn. Step 4, we're gonna go back to the hair, and then step 5, we're gonna go back to the shadows and do those last detail parts in the shadows. So it's like shadow, hair, horn, shadow. No, shadow, hair, horn, hair, shadow. You see how it's like?
I got confused twice.
I'm not doing a good job. I was like,
you're doing a great job.
I'm like,
I was looking at the cameras and then you said the same thing, but in different order. I got confused.
Well, I just thought like, Sarah, you're gonna be really efficient this tutorial. You were just gonna like nail this and just get it done. And already I've like gone off on 3 things. Sorry guys. We're using 2 paintbrushes. Same ones we use just about every time, around 6 and around 2. And we have 5 colors. I know that I have more piles on my palette, but that's because when I'm mixing my yellows, I actually like to do 2 different yellows because it's really easy to contaminate your yellow and get it muddy. So I like to do a couple smaller piles. And we are using black, deep blue, lemon yellow, fuchsia, and orchid. Those 5, which essentially, if you don't have these colors or you're using some at home, it's just a black, a purple, a pink, a yellow, and just like a blue, but not a green blue or a purple blue, just like standard blue.
Blue.
Just blue. Okay, great. We are ready to start. Do I need to say anything else? I think we're ready to go.
We're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the shadows. Now, there's an outline for this. If you're not sure how to use graphite paper or how to transfer an image onto your paper, just look at a live tutorial. I go over it almost every single time, or you can just Google graphite paper and it will pop up on how to use it. So you're gonna transfer your outline onto your paper, and then I'm gonna pick up some black, and I'm gonna add water to it because this is a white unicorn. And white animals are kind of funny in a way where we don't have to paint the white on them because that's the paper. So you're essentially just painting the shadow on them. And that's how you create form, is just by putting the shadow on there. So I'm gonna start with a really light gray wash. And to get it light gray, I'm just gonna add water to it. And that is gonna automatically lighten it. And then I'm gonna start putting in my shadows. So I'm going to start on the neck here. I'm going to go right underneath this jawbone line there. And then I'm just going to start blending it down. And then you're going to grab clean water and blend it down a little bit more. Now I want you to start off soft with your shadows, because you can always do more layers to darken it, but you can't really erase a color once you put it down in watercolor. So it's so much easier to start soft and then just to build than to go hard out the gate. So we put in our shadows. You can do another little, I'm gonna do another little layer right here while it's still wet. Sometimes you have to wait for it to dry before you can actually darken an area. So that's why I like to kind of lay a color down and then I'll come back to it. Now I have a little outline right here in the middle, and that's a reminder that to the left of it, it's gonna be kind of a white space. So I'm only putting the shadow down near this neckline. I'm leaving this white, and then this part is gray. Okay, and then we are going to start on the nose. So I'm gonna let that dry, move on to the nose. And this I'm gonna have be a stronger black, so I'm picking up just the black. I'm gonna start doing the lips, and then almost immediately I'm gonna rinse my brush and spread out the black. I'm gonna avoid the nostrils for now. So I'm just kind of spreading. Now we want the nose part, is that the right word? The nose, mouth? Is that the right word on a horse?
Beak.
That's not right. Keenan, no, you're wrong.
Muzzle? No, that's a thing.
That's the thing that covers.
This happens every time.
It happens every time. Okay, no, you guys know what I'm talking about, this part.
Do you think if I Google horse face, it'll explain it to me?
I don't think so. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the bottom part of it, but I'm gonna leave a thin white line where kind of that mouth line is. I'm just gonna leave that white. Okay, so that's looking good. While that's drying, I'm gonna move on to the other parts of the face. So there's a strong line right in the middle here. I'm just gonna borrow the gray that's already there from what I laid down for the nose. And I'm just going to follow that line. And then remember, I'm mainly using water to spread this. It's gonna be just a very, very soft, subtle shadow that we're putting there. I'm gonna continue it just to go around the eyeball. And then on the other side, we're gonna go to that other line. Okay, it's looking pretty good so far. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of shadow here on the cheek. So I'm just gonna use the gray that's there. And I'm just going to round it just a little bit. And remember, when you're painting a form of an animal, you kind of wanna like go across its form. So like this is a circle, so my brush strokes are gonna kind of go this way, curved, following that line. Okay, and you can see that our unicorn face is kind of starting to emerge. It's kind of starting to get dimensional. So I'm going to do another layer of black on the nose because we want this part to be kind of the darkest part. And then I'm going to put the black in for the nostril. It's just this kind of like oval thing going on. And then kind of over here too. And then we're gonna go around, like horses, around their nostril, there's like a lip around the nostril. So that's what's kind of going on here, which is why it's different. So what you wanna make sure is that around the lip, it is a little bit darker, which is why I'm kind of doing this gray, dark gray around this lip. And then when that dries, I'll go in and do a light wash on the top of the lip. And then by doing a shadow underneath it, it's gonna make that lip around the nostril pop out. So whenever you want something to stick out from something, you got a shadow around it, and that will automatically kind of push it forward. It sounds so funny or weird, but that's how it is. Okay, but we gotta wait for that to dry. We gotta wait for this to dry, because if I try to do a light gray wash over this right now, that black from the nostril would bleed through and I wouldn't have my sharp lines. So we're gonna move to a different area while that dries. We're just gonna do the ears. I'm just gonna take black and just kind of put them in the center here. And then the top, it goes from a dark gray to like a light gray. And just to get it lighter, all you're doing is adding water. That's what you do in watercolor if you're not familiar with it. Instead of adding white paint, you use more water. The more water makes your paint more transparent, which means the white paper shows through more. The white paper is acting as your white paint. So whenever you want an area lighter, you just gotta add more water. And this is gonna get a little messy and it's gonna like bleed a little bit, but that's okay. We kind of want it to. It's kind of cool, I think. Then we're gonna do the other ear. Now this ear is kind of turning away from us. So we're just gonna do like dark gray with a little bit of black in the middle. And that's it. And then we're almost done with step one, you guys. You're doing great. I'm gonna do like the back part where the hair meets the neck. The mane meets the neck. I'm gonna put in a little bit of shadow here. So just like a soft, light gray that we're putting it in the back here. Okay. Then I'm gonna do another layer around this eye. Kind of where that circle is that we have surrounding it. I'm not going to touch the eyelashes or the eyeball just yet. I'm going to save that for the last step. And remember to always, as you're painting, just kind of like look back or take a step back and look at it and see where there's some parts that you need to kind of work on a little bit more or need some extra layers or something. This is looking good. And then I'm going to take my moist brush that I have here and do this and push this so it's a light gray. And now we have different like levels going on, right? So like the nose is farthest away, and then we have the lip around the nostril, and then the nostril should be black because it's going like past, like into the horse. So that's where it's gonna be the most black. Keenan, do you have 3 facts about horses?
I was actually going to tell you that the nose part of the horse isn't ever really referred to as a snout.
It's not referred to? Okay.
They normally just say it's just its face.
Oh.
It has a long face.
It just has a long face. So the bottom part of the face is what we were talking about. Fact, horses don't have snouts. They just have a long face.
That's why the joke, why the long face?
Okay, and that is looking really good. I'm loving my little horse. Yes, yes. Okay, we're gonna move on to step 2. We are going to do the hair now, or at least start the hair. And the reason why we're not going to finish the hair is because we gotta like work on the horn, and you kind of have to like go back and forth when you're doing layering. But we're gonna start it. And we're gonna kind of do rainbow hair across here. So I'm gonna start off with like my pink fuchsia and my orchid. And you can do this in whatever way you want. You don't need, if you don't even like rainbow and you're just like, I don't want to paint a unicorn, leave off the horn, paint the hair gray or black, and you got a horse. Yeah. You know, make it your own. Don't feel like you have to do exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to start off with my pinks and purples, and I'm just going to kind of follow some of the outlines that I have here already. And then as it transitions to the right, I'm going to add more purple. And you can see that I'm not, because this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to think, hair. I know what hair looks like. This is hair. And you're going to do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's what our brain is telling us to do. Don't listen to it. You have to think of hair as in chunks, and the chunks themselves intertwine and cross with each other. So instead of doing just long wispies like this, it's going to be like, well, here is a chunk of hair here, and then another chunk is coming out behind it and whipping to a point, kind of like that. So when you think of hair as it gathers together in these chunks that have shadow and kind of move around, then your hair is going to come out way more dimensional and realistic. So you're going to be tempted to do this, and maybe this is where you're at, and that is totally fine. But if you're just a little patient and you're like, this doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm going to trust you, Sarah, do that if you can. So then as I'm going across, I'm going to start mixing in some blue with my purple. And then it's just going to come more and more blue. And if you can, try and have, like here I'm going to have it kind of like stick out. And then as I get to the right of my paper, I want it to kind of go off the edge because I want it to seem like this flowing, crazy rainbow hair. And then I'm going to start mixing in some yellow with my blue to get a green. But I'm not going to do a lot of yellow at first because I kind of want like a greenish blue. So here's my greenish blue that I'm going to start putting in. And you can also, I want you to notice that I'm not, you see how I'm leaving some white spaces and highlights? That is on purpose. So try not to fill in the entire space. Just keep going with those kind of like those curved brush strokes, and then leave some whites in there. And that's because we do want some highlights on the hair because the hair itself is dimensional, so it's going to have shadows and highlights. And I'll go back in and put in those shadows and highlights a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to mix more yellow to get more of a green. And then a little bit more yellow to get like a lime green. And then you're going to do just pure yellow. Also, where the hair is attached at the neck, it's not like a super, you can see that some of it, it's kind of a jagged line. And we'll go back in and put in thinner like hair, like wispies that kind of get away. But don't feel like your hair has to like be a straight line, because how our hair connects to our bodies is it's not totally straight. Or at least if it is totally straight, how the light hits it does not make it look like a straight line. That's how sometimes you can tell wigs are fake, is because it's just like a strong line right where it starts.
Every time I see a mullet, I think the same thing.
A mullet?
It's my life goal to have a mullet and an El Camino.
An El Camino and a mullet. Why can't you have a mullet now?
Military?
Well.
I don't know what you mean by that, Will.
Is that really important? Do they actually kick you out for that?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Not kick you out, but...
The military is serious. I shouldn't joke about it. Was I joking about it? Was that offensive?
I joke about military.
Please,
it's fine.
Please cut it out if it is. I cannot handle the abuse. If I.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? Sarah may love art, but she hates the military.
I'm gonna move over to a safer topic to talk about, and that's hair. So, we did our pure yellow, and then I'm gonna mix. I'm just kind of doing like the rainbow. That's my guide.
Oh, that's what the color is.
Keep. I'm gonna mix a little bit of my fuchsia with yellow, and that's gonna make like an orange. And actually, if you mix a lot of fuchsia with the yellow, it's gonna have like a red color, which is pretty cool too. So I'm gonna start putting in my orange, and I'm just gonna start adding more fuchsia. And then like on the bottom here, the hair is kind of gonna whip around in front of the body. And if you want, you can go back to that purpley pink that we started with. So it's kind of like a round, a circle. It makes sense. Don't worry about it, you guys. Okay.
I apologize, I didn't have any words to
Keenan's face. He looked up, he's like, I don't know what to say. You're doing great, Keenan. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm just kind of going in, putting hair behind here. Okay, and that's all I'm gonna do for right now. That is enough to kind of establish the shape of my hair and where it's going. And then after we do the horn, we'll go back to it and start putting in the little thin wispy lines. That's gonna make it just a little bit more realistic. I forgot to put this part in, sorry. Okay, now for the horn, you can paint whatever color you want. I just kept it the gray because I kind of want it to give it a white look. So I just stayed with my light grays here. And I'm gonna start by putting the gray in the middle. And then I'm gonna rinse my brush and just use water to spread that. And you can go as dark or as light as you want. I feel like in my example it got a little bit dark. I kind of want to keep it a little bit lighter this time. And then I'm going to do another layer of gray, and I'm only doing it kind of in the center. And the reason for that is because we want the horn to be dimensional also. So in order for that to happen, it can't be a flat single value. It has to have kind of a shadow and some highlights. So I'm putting a shadow kind of in the middle and letting the edges kind of have a lighter value, and then that should hopefully communicate to our viewer that it is rounded and it is a form and not a two-dimensional thing. Also, when I'm putting in my shadow, I'm not doing a strong line. I'm actually doing small brush strokes across it. Like that. And that's how I'm putting in my shadow. And that's because sometimes the direction of your brush stroke can be distracting. And so if I try to go in with like a hard vertical line right there, then it might throw our eye off. So sometimes it's better to follow, have the brush stroke as if, did I say
Bush.
brush stroke? Brush stroke. You want to try and have the brush stroke follow the form as if you were painting on the form itself. So that's why I'm doing it kind of more horizontal. And it's going to be a little darker at the bottom because the hair, it's kind of coming out from the hair. So that hair is casting a shadow at the base where it's coming out from. And that's really all you need to do with the horn, just really simple. Do you know what I should have done, Keenan?
What's that?
I should have made the horn rainbow. What was I thinking? That would have been so cool if I started off.
Rainbow though.
I mean, can you have too much rainbow? I say no.
What was the brand?
What?
What was the brand?
Lisa Frank.
Lisa Frank would say no.
Lisa Frank would absolutely say no. Actually, can you Google, are we allowed to do this? Can you Google an image of Lisa Frank folder and then like when you edit, just like put it right here? Kind of like what you did with Belle. Like I'm holding the folder.
You want to hold the folder.
Can you do it?
I can try. Yeah.
That would be great.
I will learn my best in the next day and a half to do that.
You have 1 day to do this because this releases in 2 days.
Consider it done.
Or a day and a half, I guess. Okay. So we did our horn. Now we're going to go back to our hair. Now, this is where we're going to move No, no, no. We're gonna stay with our round 6. I've been using the round 6 the entire time. We're gonna move to our round 2 in a second, but I wanna start putting in some shadows a little bit because all of these are kind of a medium value, which means if I were to try and unfocus my eye, or do you ever have those, have you heard of those eyeglasses that are like red or something? If you put them on, they make everything red. Do you know
I have. We're just recently heard about glasses
like,
that make everything red.
I know that quilters use them. I've heard of that anyway.
To find certain things.
Yes.
Like the back in the day books, kids' book, you used to find hidden codes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But kind of like that. But basically, if you were to turn this all one color, whether it's black and white or red or whatever, you would be able to tell where there are lights and darknesses. You would be able to tell where the values are. And so if you look at this and you kind of squint your eyes, it's an even value in terms of like, and this is how I do it. It's so funny, but I promise you it works. When you want to see where the lights and darknesses are of a painting, you look at it and then you unfocus your eyes. And then the darks are going to jump out. So if I'm looking at my painting, my eye is drawn to here, 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 and here. But this is all pretty even except for the white highlights that are in there. And so I need some dark values in there because that's not happening so far. So I'm going to put some in. So I'm going to start with like my purple. And to put dark values, you can just use a stronger pure color, or you can mix a little bit of like black in there with it to darken it. But for my purple, I'm gonna go in and just put in like a darker purple here, and then a darker one kind of poking out right there. And then I'm gonna do my dark blue. So around the blues, and it's just kind of following the same kind of like curved motion. But I don't want to do the same one the entire way down because that will have the same effect as the wispy hair. It's just kind of here and there, kind of where you think it might like peek out. So maybe that's the back end of the hair. Okay, and then I'm going to do some dark green. I'm going to have some go here. It might be hard to kind of match the colors again since we mixed a lot of these, but just play with it. Sometimes my colors don't match exactly and I don't get mad. It's just what it is. Just keep on going. Okay, and then when I get to this lime green, do some here.
I thought it would be cool to share the largest horse ever recorded.
Yes, please.
His name was Samson.
Okay, great
He
name.
was foaled, I'm assuming it means born, F-O-A-L-E-D,
Uh-huh.
in 1846. And he was 86.5 inches tall.
Oh my gosh. How tall is that?
So 96 inches is 8 feet.
Oh my gosh, that is huge.
I know.
That is so huge. Hey, have you seen a dairy cow in person? Because those things are big.
I have. We used to drink dairy milk, dairy milk.
We used to drink dairy milk. I've never heard of that, Keaton. You're so unique.
It's new. Started a few years ago.
Do you mean like straight from cows?
Yeah, raw milk.
How is that? How is it different? Is it warm?
No, well, you can drink it warm, but we also use like the foam on top to make butter and other creams too, so we used it for milk. It was good. I mean, I just remember it as milk.
We went to Chateau Farms when we first moved out here, and they have a tour. Chateau milk is like such good milk here in...
Such good milk.
It's so good. It's a local little dairy farm. You can find it in Kansas City at some places here and there, but they have like a tour that you can take. And when I went there, they have dairy cows just chilling, and they're so tall. They're taller, like their back is taller than me. They're huge. I had no idea how big they were.
And there are probably different breeds of dairy cow, and they probably have a pretty high quality dairy cow.
They probably do.
But yeah, those ones are massive.
Yeah, I had no idea how big they were. Okay, sorry. Keep going on.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, that's looking good. I'm starting to put some shadows. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow down here. And instead of using black, like I don't know if I really want to mix my fuchsia with black, but I'll mix it with my purple and that will make it a darker pink color. And I'll put that in there. Like that. And now we're getting to the part we're going to start putting in some like little like splay, like wisps of hair. There we go. Little wisps. And you can also do a little bit of line work to kind of show the shape that the hair is taking. But I'm going to switch to my 2. I need some more fuchsia. But sometimes taking the time to do just these small little details is going to be, it just kind of finishes your work nicely, I think. We're on what step are we on, Keenan? We're on step 4. Yeah, we're on step 4. I can't remember if I said that.
We're either still on 2 or we're back to 4.
We're on 4. We're on 4. Okay, so I'm just going to take my round 2 and using a thinner line, I'm going to kind of follow the shape of the hair that the hair is taking. And I'm going to kind of like let there be a little bit of white space in between, because you know flyaways, you know, I have them right, you know, like
Dead ends,
they're
all
thin, split ends,
ends.
you know, hair. So you're going to let them kind of like be their own thing. But remember as you go across the mane to switch your color as you go, because it wouldn't make sense for there to be a pink flyaway in the yellow section. That would be madness.
I just wanted to say Sparta. This is Sparta.
Okay. And I'm going to kind of keep doing just a few of those little thin kind of strands here and there. But really the shape you kind of want your hair to have is you kind of want it to like do this wave like that. So it's going to be like, oh.
Like
or
a Baywatch hair.
Yeah, you got to think of like hair in the wind. You don't want it just like straight.
Always slow-mo.
Is that more realistic? Yes, it is. But it's just prettier when it's a little bit more like, here's a nice hair wave shape going on. And then also you can do that kind of where this hair meets the neck. So I'm gonna like put it in the dark and then it's gonna kind of go off course a little bit and then come back. I'm gonna make it a darker color. And it's okay if it overlaps with another color, but we just want that really realistic feel of like, it's windy, the hair has movement. I didn't really fill in enough color. Now when you get to the edge here, you can just kind of keep it going off your paper. That's what I did. Then I'm just going to do a couple more fuchsia ones down here. Now this paint is pretty pigmented, so if you, like what I have been doing is I have actually been using a lot of paint and not enough water, so some of my edges are getting a little bit fuzzy. If that's happening to you, just try and mix in a little bit more water when you lay down these colors. And then just do a couple of layers to get them dark. There we go. Look at that hair.
That's good hair.
That is good hair. Like I said, I have like this purple piece floating.
He just sneezed. A piece of
I
hair
should
fell
just,
off.
I should just connect it. We just have like hair flying off. We
Like a
combine
dandelion?
our dandelion project with this.
That would be awesome.
The hair's just floating away. It's fine. It happens. I'm just gonna keep that going. There we go. That's fine. Okay. So we're done with our hair. It looks really good. I like my hair. It looks very fabulous. Doesn't it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Like I said, it's like an 80s hairstyle.
Is it?
Is it? I don't know. All the 80s movies I've seen look similar to that hair.
Okay, we're gonna move on to step 5. We're gonna go back and look at the shadows, and if you have a reference photo from the kit or the subscription, you can look at that, or you can look at our Instagram. You know, we take pictures of our projects on there, and you can kind of just compare it with yours. And so just comparing this reference photo, I feel like my neck, it needs to get a little bit darker. So I'm gonna do another layer, and it's pretty dry now. Can you hear that? We have some light construction going on next door.
Does not sound light.
It doesn't?
Sounds very aggressive. A lot of changing.
I wonder what they're doing over there.
They're taking out a wall and all the floors next door, as well as adding in a new window and a new door.
Oh my gosh. Is your mic on?
Yes.
Good job, Keenan.
Always on. I've learned that I was thinking too hard.
Listen, we got yelled at a lot.
I believe that. Does that shock me?
And I'm gonna do another little. I'm so sorry. We are you know what? We make a studio and we're like, this is so great. And then they do construction next door. I'm gonna do an extra little shadow underneath this neck over here. I feel like I cut you off twice now. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just thinking about the noise.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be good.
You guys, you've been through a lot with us. You can handle a few knocking, whatever that is. Okay. And then I'm gonna do another a little bit more shadow where this hair is meeting. Just be careful to try not to get too wet, your little hairs, because then that will bleed. If that happens, it's not the end of the world. But to minimize it, just be aware. And then I'm gonna do another little gray shadow here. Kind of follow.
I call that the 5 o'clock shadow.
The 5 o'clock shadow on the horse?
Yeah.
I mean, unicorn, man.
Oh, they must be related. They look similar.
They do kind of look similar. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with black and kind of paint the mouth that I left white. So I did that. I probably should have done that with my 2 because that line is pretty thick. So I'm just gonna blend it out. Now here's a funny thing about like animals and people, if you're painting them, is like this is the part where you're gonna start getting expressions. So how you paint your mouth line is gonna give a different expression than how I painted my mouth line. So I tried to just follow my outline that I have here for you guys. But if you wanted to make your horse smiling, you totally could right now. It would just like go up. You can do whatever you want. The personalities are gonna show through. And it's great because then you get to name them and then it's fun. I'm darkening the nose just a little bit, just doing another kind of layer. And then I'm gonna go around the eye because I kind of feel good about everything else. And I'm really gonna focus on this eye. So if you're looking at the eye, there's a little bit of a lid on the bottom part. That's white. And then kind of like near the back part of the eye, around the eyeball, like the socket part, it's a dark gray. So I'm gonna do another layer. Okay, and I'm gonna leave that for a second before I do my eyelash and my eyeball, and I'm gonna do the other side really quick. The other side, since it's turning away from us, we're only seeing a part of it, it's not gonna be as detailed. We basically just have to give the hint that there's an eye there. So I'm gonna I did the little lashes, there's the eyeball, and then I'm gonna do the gray part, dark gray part around it.
It's gotta be hammers.
It's gotta be hammers.
3 or 4 of them.
Maybe some drills?
Sawzall, because they're cutting the floor.
Sawzall. Sawzall?
Sawzall.
Sawzall.
If you say it fast enough, you don't have to think about it.
Sawzall. Okay. Now, just a couple things I want you guys to pay attention to on this. Can we actually look at the detailed camera? Can you tell me if you can see the eye good on this? Right here. Yep. Okay, 2 things I want you guys to pay attention to. There is this little lip of the eyelid in between here. You want to leave that highlight there. That's going to give us dimension to our eye. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is this eyelid part. You see how it's dark here at the base and then it gets lighter and then it's dark again? Try and keep that highlight there, because what we're trying to show is like your eye is going in, there's depth, and then it bulges back out, and that's because the eyeball itself is underneath the eyelid. And then this is just behind, so this is like behind your eye, like the socket part. So you kind of want to leave that highlight there. So you have one at the top and the bottom. We have this little glare on the eyeball itself, and then on the eyelashes. You're only seeing the bottom, and the top part has a highlight on them. So try and pay attention to those things when you're doing this. I'm going to start filling in the black part, the inky black part of my eye. And I'm going to try and keep a thin white line at the bottom for my eyelid. Okay, that looks pretty good. There. I'm just going to darken the other one. And then I'm going to move on to the lashes. So just kind of where this triangle shape is, because both are black, the lashes are black, and then the eyeball of the unicorn itself is black, they're going to kind of bleed into each other, as in there's not going to be a clear distinction between one or the other, which is why I kind of took the time to be like, leave that highlight, because we don't want it to just be like kind of a blob, but it is going to be just like straight black. But I'm going to start putting in these eyelashes. So you're kind of putting these eyelashes, and then the eyelash part is going to kind of cover the glare a little bit. So it's like you have to think of the glare on the eyeball independent from the eyelashes, and then the eyelashes kind of go over it. So it's like kind of covering it just a little bit. That's the sound. And then I'm going to kind of make the base of this a little bit darker. I'm going to do another layer behind the eye, like the back part of this circle. Yes, that looks good.
So sharp.
Nice and sharp. You can make the eyelashes a little crazy on this one too. It's your horse. I mean, it's your unicorn. You can do whatever you want.
Maybe we'll have a count as to how many times you call it a horse.
We should. I think that's the 4th or 6th.
Somewhere in that number.
What would you guess?
I think 5.
Oh, right in between mine, yes. I see.
Yes.
Okay. That looks really good. And always when you're on the last step, look back away from it. Even walk away for a little bit and come back. Or what I always like to do is I would prop it up on like a shelf once it was dry because I didn't want it to drip. Prop it up on a shelf and then like go about whatever I was doing and then just kind of glance at it, and then you can kind of get a good idea of things that maybe you need to work on or are distracting, or if it looks proportionally right. It's a great thing to do. Yeah, I think it looks good. I am gonna like bleed this out just a little. I just want to do that. I'm not sure why. You don't have to do this. I just like the idea of like a little hint of pink on the forehead. Okay, it's done. I can't wait to see yours. I'm sure it will look great. I'm sure you guys are gonna make it your own, which is awesome. And if you just wanna follow along with me, that is great too. If you painted it, share it. You guys have been doing an awesome job sharing your snowy mountains. I know a lot of you haven't really felt comfortable with that project, but I'm so proud of you for just being like, I don't love this, but this is what it is. And it's great because then other people can see that the painting itself, one, it's not perfect every single time, and two, it doesn't have to be perfect to share it. And when we kind of keep that conversation going where it's like, yeah, I just started this, so it's not perfect, and I don't know if I love it, but I did it, and I had fun doing it, then more people are gonna feel comfortable painting and creating, because then that kills that myth that you have to be perfect at it in order to make it. So you guys have been doing awesome with that, and keep it going, do it with the unicorn, and I can't wait to see all the different things you do. I know I already said that. So if you do it on Instagram, our Instagram name is Let's Go Make Art. Tag us. Facebook is the same. We have a wonderful Facebook community. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it on your personal thread, where you can upload it there, and people are super nice, and it's a wonderful place called Let's Make Art Together. Next week, we're into February. We're in our February box. We are doing our jellyfish. Super fun tutorial, loose, playing wet on wet technique. We're splattering paint. It's a really great time. I think that's all I need to say.
That's
right?
Wonderful.
Okay, you guys are awesome. That's it. Bye.